6:30. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And this is the regular meeting of municipal council for the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal for the month of October, the date being Monday, October the 25th at 6:30 p.m. And the meeting is being held both in person and virtually. And public has been invited to join the meeting by Zoom. No one has accepted the invitation. There's nobody on Zoom. All members of council are at their desks. We have several members of staff here, and we have two people in the gallery. And Mr. Lockwood will be making a presentation later in the meeting. So the meeting has been called to order, and the chair is looking for the motion to approve the agenda as presented. Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have that motion.
I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council approves the agenda as presented.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Aye. Motion is carried. And now I'm proceeding to item number 3, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest here tonight? And I emphasize that word pecuniary. I'm going to speak about that in a few minutes as we come to approval of the minutes of the meeting of September the 27th. I'm going to item number 4 on the agenda. Number 4 on the agenda is delegations and presentations. And we have Mr. Corey Lockwood here with us this evening. And I believe, Mr. Lockwood, you're going to address this concerning Meadowlands North subdivision. And let me first of all acknowledge that we do have a briefing note supplied by Xander Plan, who I believe are your planners. And I believe the issue under discussion is curbs and gutters in the new subdivision. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, you have the floor.
So thank you for the opportunity to speak to it a little bit. I wasn't at the October 4th meeting. I wasn't doing the best, so I thought the best not to come down.
Okay, now just to put you a little bit more at ease, we have a protocol. As long as we're sitting at our desk or stationary, we can take our masks off, and it's going to be easier to hear you.
There we go.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for having me down. I wasn't able to make it to the October 4th. I guess it came to my attention from Tracy after that was some of your concern about the not having curbs and gutters, and the reason why we didn't decide to opt out of that or go the other route. So I know one of the concerns that was brought up is maintenance of the ditches and whatnot, and that's why I sent out that kind of diagram with those few pictures of what we're exactly proposing. The reason we did that initially when we had the first draft plan approval was sure just the difference in cost. So back in 2016 or 17 when we did that, at that time there was over $500,000 difference in one system versus the other, versus like the full storm system and with the curbs and gutters. So the reason we opted for this is, again, just to help keep the cost down on the property, per lot cost down, and that was one of the reasons why we tried to intensify it as well, as it just keeps the cost down for potential owners. It's still very easy to maintain the way it is. And I'd just like to, because just make sure if anyone had any questions, if the pictures that we sent to are clear enough to show that it's not big deep ditches. It's an improvement over what the existing Meadowlands subdivision would be, and I think it's kind of somewhere in the middle that we can meet versus going through all that extra expense. I don't know if there's any questions if anyone had.
Well, I just raised a couple of issues. So one of the things behind the thinking at the earlier meeting was we've just gone to pretty heavy expense to try to determine how we're going to handle both Spencerville and Johnstown storm water. And the engineers have indicated to us that the best way of dealing with the situation that we find in both Johnstown and Spencerville is with a curb and gutter treatment to properly direct the water wherever it's supposed to go, and keeping it off other properties. And so we know what it costs to put these systems in after the fact, and it's gonna be pretty heavy. So your subdivision, your original subdivision agreement, I don't think had curbs and gutters in it.
No, I didn't.
And I remember the presentation that we had from, I think Novatex were your engineers at the time that we had the original design done. And so that wasn't in. Now, other subsequent subdivisions since yours did have it in. So just want to question you about one thing. So you're estimating a cost of around 500,000 in your subdivision, which I think we got 146 doors or houses in there right now.
That's correct.
Yeah, that would add about $3,400 to the price.
That's right.
Do you think that's an onerous increase?
Well, it's kind of, it's same as well, I watched the housing industry go like this. It's kind of death by 1,000 cuts. One question I guess I'd have for you maybe is the problems you're having in Johnstown or Spencerville, was that because they weren't designed properly from day one, where this is being designed by engineers, and then that design will be checked by other engineers for you guys to make sure that it's gonna handle it, like this project down in this one I see the pictures of at Merrickville. It works well. There's one in Long Sioux that as well, and they've got one that they've done in Limoges. And one of the benefits of this is when we do it that way, it's a perforated pipe that goes in the ground as well. So a lot of the water just soaks out through the ground before it hits the stormwater pond. The other system, it'd be solid piping that goes, and then one of the things it does also is increase the cost of building that stormwater pond. It would have to be a bigger pond because it's not going to get ground infiltration on the way through. But like Novatech has done a few of these projects and never had any issues for the municipality afterward. It did increase cost. Again, I think I get where you guys are coming from, seeing where you're having to spend some money here, but if it was designed improperly at the start, that's a much different situation than what we've got here.
Is one of the advantages, through the chair, is one of the advantages of doing this, does it keep water ultimately in the ground more versus that, like, if we were to catch it all on curbs and gutters, it goes to a storm sewer, gets treated, and ends up in the river.
So it would go from the storm sewer still to a stormwater pond, where the sediments will settle down in the stormwater pond. So if you had a big rain event, like that pond would be dry most of the time. If there's a big rain event, they might see some water build up in it, then it lets the sediment settle down, and then it would go either out through the ground, or there'd be like an overflow system on it as well.
Sure.
So it's not like it's directly going out to the river.
Right. So no, I'm thinking, but if we did a curb and gutter, so maybe that's to Gord to Dave, if we did a curb and gutter, would the attached curb and gutters go to the pond, or does it go, it would still go into that pond?
It would still go to the stormwater pond, yes.
Okay, so your way with a perforated pipe gets a small amount of that water back into soil and into.
So as it's traveling, it's gonna settle down. Some of it will go down into the ground, right? And then some will go that way. The majority of it will still go towards the saltwater pond, but a lot of it will penetrate into the ground.
Okay.
Counselor?
Through the chair, Corey, with your perforated pipe, I assume this is a picture here where the catch basin is just off the pavement, not in the ditch kind of, or in the grass.
Yeah.
So your perforated pipe's all running through your storm sewer, so that perforated pipe is going to absorb some of the water that just soaks off the yard that doesn't even get to the catch basin. It's just soaking down a real wet spring when the dooryard's really wet.
That's right.
That's gonna pick some of that water up and go, rather than the storm sewer, the water would have to just
Exactly.
run it, either get off the yard and run out to get down in there, or else just lay in the yard.
That's right. Yep.
So it has an advantage of keeping the front yard a little bit drier too, more chance of it soaking it rather than backing up and going into a basement.
Well, and then the way that we do the basements, I don't think you necessarily have to worry about backing up into the basement like this. Going with this design, it'd be a sub pump would come up and go out for any houses that do have a basement in there. versus going out under the footing like you would see in a typical stormwater design. But for sure, it'll take the yard water off, where I guess if you're doing it on with a curb and gutter, it's not gonna, like, that wouldn't, no water off the street's gonna go back into the municipally owned grass of the, right?
And any place the grass is level with the curb, it'd run off the grass and onto the curb and down
The street.
in rather than in their sediment area there that it would soak away and go. It would, most of the water's not gonna get to the street.
No, exactly, and I think if you had a light rain, you'd see a lot of water, like, you wouldn't see water coming out of the end of that pipe, because a lot of it would just penetrate down in the ground in the summertime, versus if you had a conventional curb and gutter, no matter what water goes in there, it's gonna come out the end of the pipe, because it's all solid pipe all the way through.
Other questions?
Corey, you said that you have one, there's one installed in Marysville.
That's right, yeah,
Whereabouts in Marysville?
right on the corner of 15 and 16, I guess it would be the.
What's 15, 15 going to north or?
Like North
Mainland?
Augusta, if you're going to North Augusta into,
Okay,
into
yes,
Marysville?
in that new subdivision. 15,
Yeah, on the left-hand side, yeah, it's right in there.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things
I
that
think that's-
we don't see on this is the property boundaries. And so I'm looking at this. And one of the other advantages of curb and gutters is that it provides definition between the edge of the street and the edge of the lawn. Yeah, is there any other way of providing definition between the street and the lawn, other than, I mean, if you look at the maps, or at the diagrams you submitted, there's really no definition between the street and the property.
Just the edge of the asphalt. So the property, like where where you can see where those few catch basins are that is in the road allowance, right?
Yeah, so that's township property.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, now there's one here with an electrical box. That would also be on town property, I imagine.
Yeah, that's a transformer. There'd be about a 3-meter easement around the edge of the road. That's municipally, the township will assume after, and that's where hydro will be buried and all the stormwater will be.
And there's in addition to that, there's a hydrant as well, a yellow painted hydrant. They're all on basically township property.
That's correct. Yeah, and that would still be the same as if it was a curb and gutter system.
But my question is, I mean, I understand the expense of adding the curb and gutter, but there's no reason that the curb and gutter can't be tied into the existing piping. The piping that's going to be installed is on the township allowance as well.
So if you did a curb and gutter system, your stormwater pipe would be out in the street, and your catch basins would be out in the street, not back on the lawn, right?
So would it have to be totally re-engineered?
Yeah, it would have to, so we haven't finalized the design on it, because that's not really part of this process normally this would be something that we would address and afterwards in the design of it. But you would have to, it would be versus the like plastic catch basins on the grass, you would have the big concrete catch basins with the cast iron lids, and they'd be much deeper in the ground than what this is.
And there's no other way of providing definition at the edge of the roadway then?
Not if we go with this type of system, because you need this system here is letting some of the road water filter off through the grass, like any of the sediment.
Like a crown in the road.
That's right. So some of the sediments coming off the road would filter through the grass before it got into that catch basin, and then versus treating it at the other end.
Further questions? Okay, so further questions before I thank Mr. Lockwood? Anybody?
Just
Go ahead.
one advantage I see as far as the township goes, I know where we're coming from for Spencerville and Johnstown, because Johnstown maybe has a little more room. Spencerville hasn't got room. That's the main reason for, in my opinion, a curb and gutter system there, because we just don't have the road allowance to allow it to have a system like this, because the road streets there aren't wide enough to allow what they're proposing here, 3 meter on each side of the road to accommodate it. But I see that one advantage for the township here with this system is that we don't have those steel catch basins in the middle of the road that when we're repaving or snow plowing, there's nothing there for the plow to catch. It's a smooth asphalt road. Yes, we're gonna have still gonna have the chance of asphalt damage along the side, with trucks pulling over onto the dooryard and stuff. Probably an easier system to maintain the road. Would you maybe to our road director operations, when there's no catch basins or anything to maintain in the middle of the road?
Through the chair, certainly would help with that in, in the long run, when things settle out in years to come, and there's some heaving and so forth. I guess the only concern I would have is the actual crown of the road and how plowing that with the more dome shape would maybe leave a row down the center of the road.
I don't think it'd be any more crown than a curb and gutter. Like the road wouldn't have any more crown in it than a curb and gutter system. It's just because it's just the water's running off and stopping at the sidewalks and then going in the catch basin. To say that for definition, I guess I'm not aware of. I don't think any like the existing metal lines and some of the other streets and currently, I don't know if that creates an issue right now for not having that exact concrete definition, but like the village doesn't really have any curb and gutter systems other than the main street, I don't believe right now, does it?
Yeah, I think that's about right. And so, and I mean, I can't really talk to what happens at the edging, but I know that if you have a curb and gutter street edging, if you have a curb and gutter edging, the edges of your concrete, where your concrete comes up to your asphalt, you don't get the breakage at the edge of the asphalt. I mean, with this, and by the way, these pictures that I've got here on page 3 and 4 and 5, I think you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that the Meadowlands North, we're not going to get near the setback from the edge of the pavement to the front of the house that we see in this pictures. It just seems to me that the subdivision is tighter than that. Am I right or wrong?
You're gonna have to, the lots are very deep actually on the line.
They are deep?
Yeah.
So will yours be set back that far
Yeah,
from?
it'd be very similar to what's there,
Yeah,
Well, because you have to meet the minimum setback requirements of, so I believe it's 7.5 meters in that. I don't know when you guys can't remember, but it'd be very similar to what's there.
okay.
It's 7.5 meters from the property line. So remember, there's still 3 meters of road allowance or that the municipality owns before you get to the street, right?
So 3 meters from the edge of the pavement to the property line.
And then you're 7.5 meters. I can't remember if it's 7.5 or 6.5, typically going back from there minimum, but the lots are very deep in there. Subdivision.
Okay, so any further questions here?
No.
Okay, well, we've had your presentation and an opportunity for questions. I think it comes up at item 8B in the agenda further if you want to stay and see how the discussion goes.
Thanks, Corey.
I don't know if anyone has any other questions. I don't think we just really with your result.
Thanks, Corey. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay, I'm moving then to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the minutes of previous council meetings. And so the first is the minutes from September the 27th, Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the regular meeting dated September 27th, 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. I wanted to get this on the floor before I speak to this. And I'm not going to ask that these minutes be held up in any way, shape, or form, but I am looking at page 7 of 170. And item number 3, which is disclosure of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. And I know the deputy mayor declared a conflict of interest. And then it says, as per solicitor's advice with respect to item 11D. Now, I recall the declaration of conflict of interest. And I have to apologize because I didn't distinguish during the meeting that whether it was a pecuniary interest. And when I go back through the item on the agenda, it was 11D. And the only thing that I can recall in 11D was the removal of a name from one of the committees. And I didn't understand how that could be a pecuniary interest. So I guess the question that I'm asking is, was there solicitor's advice for this? Because I don't recall it being mentioned during the meeting. Was there solicitor's advice for this declaration? So I'm going to ask the deputy mayor that question.
Did I receive solicitor's advice as to declare a conflict of interest? Yes.
No pecuniary interest.
I was advised that that would be the appropriate time to declare a conflict of interest.
Okay, but what was the general nature of the conflict? And that's what wasn't answered. So I'm not going to belabor that because it's not in the minutes, but I'm just and it's my fault that I didn't pursue it at the time, and I apologize for that. But I just want to point out to members that the only disclosures that are required are pecuniary interest disclosures. And that means money has to be involved. So I'm not going to hold the minutes up, but I did want to point that out. And it's my fault for not being more attentive to the disclosure at the time. So are there any other comments with regard to these minutes before I call the question on receiving and approved? Hearing none, I'm going to call the question on the motion before the table. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And I'm going to go now then to item 5B, which is the minutes of the special council meeting held on October the 20th. And Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
Deputy Mayor Deschamps, the municipal council received and approved the minutes of the special meeting dated October 20th, 2021.
Thank you very much. And the motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Give me a minute to catch up here. Now, is there any business arising from either of those two meetings? And there are none others. I'm going to ask one myself, and that is on page 14 of 170. And on page 14 of 170, we dealt with the issue of surplus equipment that was going to be disposed of. And there was to be a report coming back. Has that disposal taken place yet? And is there a report available? I'll ask the CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That disposal has not taken place, but once the sales are complete, we will return with a report as indicated.
Good, thank you very much. That answers that question. And so now I'm moving on to item number 7, which is the approval of various committee minutes for meetings held during the month. And the first is the Port Management Committee meeting of September the 22nd, Councillor Dillaba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Karen, that the municipality council receives the minutes of the Port Management Committee meeting dated September 22nd, 2021.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor? Motion is carried. And then the 7B, the Committee of the Whole Community Development meeting on October the 4th, Deputy Mayor Deschamps.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Community Development meeting dated October 4th, 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'm gonna ask first of all, if there's any errors or omissions, because I do see one error. Okay, I'll just point out the error and then I'll just leave it up to staff to make the correction. So under, on page 29 of 170, on item number 2, approval of the agenda, it was noted that an error occurred and the August the 3rd, 2021 minutes were included in the agenda package, period. It was noted that the committee has the council approved September the 7th, 2021 on their desk. It doesn't say what it is that we have on our desk. And I assume that it means the meeting minutes. So if that could just be inserted, I think the sentence would be correct and complete. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna ask that the motion be adjusted, just that the minutes be corrected. Are there any other issues or discussion to take place with regard to these minutes? If not, I'm going to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And next one is the Administration Finance Committee meeting of October the 12th, Councillor Hunter.
And myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, that the municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Administration and Finance meeting dated October 12th, 2021.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And then going to item number 7D, the Committee of the Whole Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities Committee meeting of October the 18th. Councillor Cameron.
Yes, thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh that municipal council receives and approves the minutes of the Committee of the Whole, Public Works, Environmental Services and Facilities meeting dated October 18th, 2021.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. All right, and now I'm going to item number 8 on the agenda, which is the action and information items that are coming forward from those various committees. And the first is 8A, an application for severance on Walker Street. Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Cameron, that the municipality council recommends in favor of severance B 133-21 as recommended by the Committee of the Whole and Community Development.
Thank you very much. Discussion, if any? Hearing none, I vote to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And then item 8B, a proposed revision to a plan of subdivision Meadowlands North. Deputy Mayor Deschamps, I think you have that.
I do. Move by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, the municipal council recommend in favor of the proposed revisions to the Meadowlands North plan of subdivision with the addition of curb and gutters, and that the township conditions of draft approval remain generally consistent with the conditions issued in 2017, subject to the confirmation of sufficient servicing capacity as recommended by the Committee of Whole Community Development.
All right, discussion, if any? No discussion, Councillor?
Yes, in lieu of our previous discussion regarding the subdivision and the amount of dollars that it's going to take to put curbs, gutters in, I was very much in favor of curbs and gutters with both Spencerville and Johnstown, and I was also in favor of the curbs and gutters here in the village of Cardinal as well with this new subdivision. I just, $500,000 is a lot of money. And as was pointed out, it's going to probably in the $3,500 impact per unit. I have mixed feelings, Mr. Mayor, at this time. So I just wanted to get that out there. The current subdivision, as we know it, the south end does not have curbs and gutters. It has swales. I'm really torn here with the $500,000 price tag. And of course, this new subdivision is going to be serviced by water and sewer from our existing plants. So you're going to have manhole covers in the street anyway. Somebody please convince me that it's worth $500,000. See, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, but that's what the only way that I can put it. I like the look of the curb and gutter. I really do. But boy, when you know, that shiny red apple, I don't know is worth the 25 cents more if it wasn't shined up. So please, somebody help me out here.
Councillor Hunter wants in.
Well, I still definitely in favor of curb and gutter in our other projects where we have that are just in the streets that we're trying to. Right, but I am leaning well toward this new proposal of the way the engineers have designed this with the perforated pipe and stuff that's gonna allow to let the water soak away in the ground and from the picture that I get there and the way he explained laid out, our water line and stuff in this subdivision isn't going to be under the road. It's going to be on the side and the 3 meter road allowance along the side of the road instead of the middle of the road. Is that not right the way it's designed? Well, I could see in the engineering drawing, it looked like the pipes were going to be going along the side of the road instead of the middle of the road.
Mr. Mayor, I thought of that as well, but I was under the impression that when we heard the report on the Johnstown drain, that they're gonna put, for some reason, they had to put the lines in the center of the road for something. I just forget the reason.
Okay,
So,
but let's not confuse the two, because on page 2 of 170, I think they have the answer that we're looking for.
all right,
And I'm gonna just turn for a minute and I see Mr. Shaw shaking his head. So Mr. Shaw, if you would like to comment here.
Through the chair, as you mentioned, Mr. Mayor, that on page 2 of 170, if you look at the diagram, you'll note that they have the sanitary sewer located basically in the center of the road and the water main under the road, but on the right hand side.
So they are under the paved surface.
Yes, sir.
And you can see where they're located on page 2 of 170.
If I may, can I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion that's on the floor. The motion would be to remove the words with the addition of curbs and gutters. One of the columns.
Now, do you have a seconder?
I second, I would agree with the amendment.
Without the curbs and gutters?
yes.
So
Yeah,
the motion is, if I've captured it correctly, moved by Deputy Mayor Deschamps and seconded by Councillor Hunter, that the words with the addition of curb and gutters be removed from the main motion. That's the amendment. Do I have I captured the amendment correctly?
That's the way I'd like it, right?
Discussion on the amendment only.
I'm still torn, Mr. Mayor.
How torn are you?
Well,
It's time to get untorn.
yeah, I know, and $500,000 is a lot of money for a builder who has spent a lot of money.
Well, it's not the builder, it's the
Well,
purchaser. Further discussion? Okay, anybody else? I'm gonna vote against it, but that's up to everyone else. I'm about to call the question if there's no other speakers. Those in favor of the
Yes.
amendment? All right, the amendment is carried. I'm not gonna mark it unanimous. It is carried. All right, now the amendment is carried. And so now I'm going to call the question on the main motion. And so the main motion will now read as follows. That municipal council recommend in favor of the proposed revisions to the Meadowlands North Plan of Subdivision, and that the township conditions of draft approval remain generally consistent with the conditions issued in 2017, subject to confirmation of sufficient servicing capacity as recommended by the Committee of the Whole Community Development. So there's a change to the recommendation from that committee that has been overruled by this amendment, which has just been carried. So now I'm calling the question on the main motion.
Recorded vote.
Okay. And recorded vote requested by Councillor Hunter. And I'm going to call the question, I'll call the roll. Councillor Cameron, how do you vote?
would be a,
Councillor Dillabaugh, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Hunter, how do you vote?
Yay.
Deputy Mayor, how do you vote?
Yay.
And the mayor will vote yea as well. So the main motion is carried as amended. All right, and so now we'll go on to item number 8C, which is a proposed revision to the plan of subdivision for Lockmasters Meadows. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that motion.
I do have the motion, and before I read it, I'd like some clarification on part of it from staff. If this is past there as far as the trees being in the berm, standard condition code of 2013 draft approval are carried forward. And when the final decision recommendations come forward, is there a place in there for us to define that these trees that are planted here have to be 4 feet high or such in there that they can't just go in and plant a bunch of seedlings?
Through the chair to council, the staff recommendation would allow the details of this firm to be within the subdivision agreement. So yes, there would be an opportunity to provide further details where it should be on the height of the tree, the species of the tree, where the berm is as well. I think at this point, we're just looking for confirmation that council is okay with the tree or the berm instead of the 5 meter.
Before you go ahead, I'm mistaken. That's one that I did not want to second. So I'm not sure how to deal with that, but.
Well, if you don't want to second it, then you're withdrawing, your name
Yeah,
is on there.
withdrawn. I know, and that's
Okay, so,
procedurally, I'm not sure. I made a mistake on that.
no, that's fine. I mean, the motion is on the floor. It hasn't been dealt with. So if you want to withdraw as a seconder, now's the time to do it.
Yes, I do.
I'll second. that, Mr.
My
Mayor.
apologies for that. My mistake.
And I haven't seen the motion yet. I don't have a copy of it. Does the motion reflect the recommendation that I see on page 53?
Yes. Yes, it does. Yeah.
Okay.
The recommendation is, or the motion is the recommendation. There's
Okay,
two
the motion
alternatives,
is the recommendation.
but the
Okay.
motion is the recommendation.
Okay, so Councillor Hunter, you're up.
Move myself, second by Councillor Cameron. Municipal Council one, recommend in favor of amending the draft plan condition to increase the number of lots from 93 to 95, and two, that an access block to the abutting lands to the west, allowing further expansion of Street B and Street D be added to a revised draft plan, and the condition of draft approval be amended that this block will be conveyed to the township. And three, the condition number 30C be revised to require a treated earth berm as a noise attention measure instead of a 5.0 meter wall, with details to be included in the subdivision agreement. And four, that the standard conditions imposed in the 2013 draft approval are carried forward.
Okay. Okay, so the motion is on the floor. Now, discussion, if any?
Hold on.
That's your alarm.
That's
Your
your,
alarm's going
your
off.
car
your horn
alarm's
is
going off.
beeping?
I think you.
Did they break the window?
That's all right. I thought it was mine, actually.
It sounded like mine too. I'm glad you came in.
No.
Oh, must have been somebody out there. Somebody tried to get in.
What if it's mine?
Okay, I'm just gonna
They said it says.
hold here for a minute or so.
Stone wall's not good.
Must have been
What's
that.
that?
power. You drive.
Stone wall's not good for getting signal through this.
My wife would have a different answer for you, Councillor Hunter.
Yeah.
I know she has for me on several occasions. All right, the motion is on the floor. Committee, or is council ready to deal with the motion, or do you want to have it read again? Hearing neither, I'm about to call the question on the motion.
Just want to maybe comment and still, when Mr. Simpson presented, he did present and mention that, you know, there was a letter from CN, which hasn't been provided, in that there was a conversation with the MOE, which isn't included in the package either. And those would make me feel a lot better about changing this. I have no issue with 10 or 15 years from now having the trees. I think they're a welcome addition, but the work was done in 2013 to get this up to where it needed to be. Those things were worked hard on and addressed, and I'd like to see them stay the way that they were in the 2013 draft approval.
Okay, so the essence of the concern is the lack of a couple of documents. I think that's the essence of it. So through the CAO to the Community Development Coordinator, can you address Deputy Mayor's concern?
Through the chair, I reached out to the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks and have not heard back from Mr. Orpana as of yet regarding this revised proposal. I've had a conversation with Ms. Mallory at the county. She's the planner there, and she feels comfortable not recirculating the plan. Encourages the conversation, of course, but not recirculating the proposal because it is a better proposal in regards to noise attenuation than what was requested as an amendment. We do have the ministry's original comments on the application for an amendment to the draft approved subdivision, and the ministry cautioned that strictly putting statements on the purchase and sale agreement or warning clauses is not mitigation. They strictly said their comments were didn't take into account any other noise attenuation measures, and just said that warning clauses on the agreements were not considered mitigation. CN's comments were that because the houses were more than 120 meters away from the rail right of way, that the noise berm would not be required. However, because there was some parkland that could be closer than 120 meters, they recommended the berm for that reason. So if we're not looking to have a park there, it wouldn't be required at all. If we're planning to put a park there and it's going to be 120 meters or closer, a berm of some height would be required. Those were
Between the
CN's
rail and the park.
Yes, those were CN's original comments. So we do have the engineered report from Gradient Wind that Mr. Simpson has provided as part of his application, which said that the noise levels would be below 60 decibels, which is where mitigation is required. Now, at the loudest moments, the noise decibels are probably going to be 59 decibels, so really close. And when we had that report peer reviewed, Greer Galloway, who did our peer review for us, pointed out that we may want, although it's not required, we may want to consider some additional noise attenuation measures. And I believe that the treed earth berm that Mr. Simpson is proposing would meet those needs.
Okay, so if I'm understanding what you just told us, is that the original plan included a parkland between the rail and the houses, which is no longer there.
It included a parkland dedication, right? It's
A parkland dedication.
Yes, yeah, I think CN is reading that and saying, if you're going to have a park there, then we need some noise attenuation measures. I don't know if those are council's plans for that land there is to actually have a park there.
Okay, is the proponent still proposing to dedicate that land to the township?
Yes.
Okay, it's just that we haven't decided what we're doing with it. Okay, now I don't know, Deputy Mayor, whether that addresses your issue or not.
I'm going to, if this one remains on the table, I'll be voting against it. I'm going with alternative one.
Okay, any further discussion on the issue and the motion before the table? Okay, Councillor Hunter.
Well, I didn't like the proposal when he first brought forward that he just wanted to do away with the berm all together in there and have these issues put on each building. Because the noise there, we stated that he still needed the berm. He's agreed to keep the berm at the same height that was there, but rather what he wants is not have to put the 12-meter fence on the top of it.
That's correct.
Top of it. So I think as long as we have control that we don't allow them to just plant seedlings, that it's got to come in and the council of day decides whether we want 4-foot trees, 5-foot trees, whatever we want planted along there. I really think the tree, if you get 3 or 4 rows of trees there, I think it's really going to be a better noise barrier than the board fence, because Gwen Brockville, I have friends live right next to that sound barrier that they put up in 401, and he'll tell you if anything that's noisier in his damn house there now, that's on it than it was before, because he gets the echo off the side of the fence all the time. So I'm okay with it as long as staff is quite positive that we can define how high those trees are and also probably how far ahead before they can develop that last part of that subdivision, when those trees have to be planted, but they can't just do nothing with it until, okay, we're going to start selling lots here, we're going to plant trees. We have a time frame with it. I think if the subdivision starts to go, the berm and the trees need to be there before he sells any lots.
Okay, so so through the CAO to the Community Development Coordinator again, do we have the ability to require that the berm with the trees be part of phase 1 at this point?
Through the chair, right now we require the wall as part of phase 2. We could certainly require that it be a part of phase 1.
Okay, So the answer to the question is yes, we have the ability
Yes.
to make it part of phase one. Does that answer your question? Okay, further discussion, if any, because I'm about to call the question.
Just a comment.
Okay, Councillor Cameron.
I concur with Councillor Hunter, with the trees, and I'm glad to hear that we do have the control. But what hasn't also been brought up too is that trees are better for the environment than just noise suppression. They form a numerous abilities to make the township much better. So I would support Councillor Hunter's recommendation.
Okay, well, Councillor Hunter's motion.
Motion, yes.
Okay, all right, so if there's no further discussion, I'm about to call the question on this motion.
Record.
Okay, I have a recorded vote requested by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. All right, proceeding to the recorded vote. Councillor Cameron, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Dillabaugh, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Hunter, how do you vote?
Yay.
Deputy Mayor Deschamps, how do you vote?
Nay.
And the mayor votes yay, and so the motion is carried. And I'll just say to staff that we do have a commitment from staff then that the berm with the trees will be part of phase one. Okay, and so now, where am I? I'm at item number 8D, which is the Cardinal Festival Committee Liability Insurance Payment. And that's Councillor Dillabaugh, and just before you go, Councillor Dillabaugh, give me 1 minute to find where I am. Okay, Councillor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Hunter that the municipality council, one, donate $810 to the Cardinal Festival Committee to offset the liability insurance cost for the 2021 Labor Day fireworks. And two, that the funds be taken from the Cardinal Hydro Reserve. And three, we inform the festival committee that on an ongoing forward basis, the committee should apply for funding of such activities through township community grants and donation programs.
Motion is on the floor, discussion if any. Okay, so I have Councillor Cameron, Councillor Dillabaw's motion, he gets to speak first.
Go ahead.
And then
Councilor
recognizing
No, you go ahead.
Councillor Cameron.
It's your motion.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, I'd just like to inform before we do a vote on this that this committee, as Mr. Cameron said, we should come back and apply for 2022 grants. But this committee is still working on favorable stuff for the community in 2021. Example is they're putting on a due for the Halloween, and from what I understand, they're going to do something for Christmas. So they actually probably need this money, and hope this committee will take that into consideration. And also, it takes $5,000 approximately for each fireworks that they put on. So if they put on 2 fireworks a year, that's $10,000. They did the one in September 21, and it's approximately $5,000. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hope the committee takes that into consideration.
And Councillor Cameron, you're next.
Well, I don't like the idea of it coming from the Cardinal Reserve, Hydro Reserve. I agree with everything else that's on the recommendation here. I still think that the reason I don't think that the Hydro Reserve should fund this is that's really not what the reserve was set up for in one manner. So if something comes up in the future where they don't get enough from the community grant, are they going to come back and say, we want it from that reserve again? It's not our fault that they didn't ask for enough money. because actually in 2021, I don't think they did ask for any money from the grant, which they were entitled to do so. No, my previous decision that you referred to, Councillor Gillibois, I still have to stand by that. If we took out item number 2, I would support the recommendation, but as long as number 2 is in there with the Cardinal Hydro Reserve, I can't support it.
Now, do you want, there are three sub clauses to the operative clause, 1, 2, and 3. If you feel that strongly about clause 2, are you prepared to amend the motion to remove clause 2?
Well, if we remove clause 2, what's the use of even having the motion?
Well, then it'll have to be funded from some other source, provided that it passes.
What they would do is they would go to the community grant when it comes available in whatever it is, January or February.
No, that's not true. If clause 2 were removed and the motion passed, then it would be up to staff to tell us where they're gonna find $810, but they would have to.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean, yes.
1
yes.
and 3 would still prevail. It's just the source would not be part of the motion. So chair's looking for direction here. I'm not hearing an amendment coming forward. Further discussion on the motion. Okay, at the committee level, I spoke to the motion. I don't want to speak to the motion from the chair. I'm passing the gavel to the deputy mayor, so that I'm not speaking from the chair. The chair is now,
Assumes the chair.
the deputy mayor now assumes the chair. You got the ability to rule me out of order, which you can do.
You can speak to Mr. Mayor.
Well, as you know, I spoke against this resolution, this motion at the committee meeting. I'm going to speak again because we are at a council meeting, and I want my rationale to be part of the record. So I just want to go back through some of the history, which was that we did give the committee a grant in the year 2019, which was an $800 grant. And we also, as I understand it from my notes, gave them another grant in 2020 of $2,000, but they didn't have a great deal of activity in the year 2020. So in speaking to the member of the committee that I spoke to, there was some residual in their bank account. Now, I didn't at the time that I spoke to the person that was in charge of financing at the committee, it wasn't my business to know what the balance was in their bank account, so I didn't ask. But I did learn that they did have residual monies left in their bank account. I'm not going to go into the whole history as to why they had to pay the $810. Suffice it to say that for the reasons outlined by the fire chief, the fireworks display is not a fire department activity. It's an activity that is conducted by members of the fire department as a volunteer service. Because it's not an actual fire department activity, it's not, the liability is not covered by the township liability coverage. So that's why they're being forced into purchasing this insurance in the public arena. And $810 does seem like a lot for, a 4-hour exposure, but nevertheless, that's what it is. So, and I think that's beside the point, because the real point is the $810, whether it gets reimbursed to them or not. Now, I want to just address one issue that has been raised by Councillor Dillabaugh. The fireworks displays we know are expensive. What we don't know is what the grant portion is that the federal government provides to these displays. We know that in the case of the July 1st Canada Day fireworks, there are substantial grants that these kinds of committees can apply for to offset the cost of fireworks, and they're substantial. So we don't know that number, but there are substantial grants that go to defray that $10,000 cost. So I put together three things. Number one, the committee, as I determined from my discussion with the previous member of the committee, they had money in their bank account. They didn't have an immediate need for money, and they would apply for money in 2022. But that was sufficient reason for me. The other thing that bothers me, of course, is that the Cardinal Hydro Reserve is the wrong place. And if this is to be funded, it should, in my opinion, be funded from some other source. So I'll be voting against the motion that's on the floor. Thank you very much.
Are you gonna make a motion, Mr. Mayor?
No,
To take number 2 out?
no, I'm not gonna do that because
Okay.
I feel bad speaking to the motion, but I've handed the chair to the deputy mayor.
You, Mr. Cameron?
And I'm gonna hand you the chair right
No,
back.
I'm
Just gonna hand it back to the chair.
The mayor,
Leave it
I'm
in.
assuming that's what I wanna speak to.
All right, so we're up for further discussion.
All right, so it comes to, I will, so it comes to me. Hearing the discussion that's there, I would like to make a motion to amend the motion that is on the floor to remove number 2, that the funds be taken from the Cardinal Hydro Reserve.
Amendment to main motion.
I'll second
And
that.
so I
Mr. Mayor.
have Deputy Mayor Deschamps moving. And Councillor Dillabaugh seconding.
That is to remove number 2.
Remove clause 2 from main motion. Okay, now have I captured that amendment correctly?
Yes.
All right, discussion on the amendment only. No discussion on the amendment.
Yes, okay.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor.
Where else would they?
A different issue. A different issue.
Oh, I can see that, yeah, all right.
And depending on how this motion goes, we'll entertain that issue. All right, vote to call the question on the amendment only. Those in favor of the amendment? 1, 2,
Yes.
3, 4. And I'm counting myself as number 4. Opposed, if any? Opposed? Not opposed? Okay, so the amendment is carried. Okay, now the main motion reads as follows. Exactly as worded on the sheet, except clause 2 has been removed. All right, further discussion. Do you want to get into your other issue?
Well, where are they going to get the money from?
Well,
I
I
guess
mean,
that's really my question.
okay, so that comes back then, to my mind, to the community grants and donation program, in which case, the way I would see it is that program would be slightly, although the treasurer's here, we can get a confirmation, that program would be slightly overdrawn. Now, would the treasurer speak to that?
Certainly, through the chair, that particular budget line only has $10 remaining in of the budget that was estimated for 2021. But there's no reason why council cannot overdraw on that. It's a comprehensive budget, or council budget in itself has probably some variances in other line items that have not been spent.
Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you, yes.
Okay, further discussion, if any? Okay, I'm back to the main motion. Now, if there's no further discussion, I'm going to call the question on the main motion.
Well, can we record this one as well then?
Ordered by Deputy Mayor Deschamps. All right, I'm about to call the question on the main motion, and I'm going to poll the council on their votes. Councillor Cameron, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Dillabaugh, how do you vote?
Yay.
Councillor Hunter, how do you vote?
Yay.
Deputy Mayor Deschamps, how do you vote?
Yay.
And the mayor votes nay and loses again, but that's okay. Motion is carried.
Just that democratic,
Yeah, once in a while. All right, now I'm going to item 8E, which is the County Road 2 Reconstruction Engineering and Contract Administration Tender. All right, and so we have a briefing note in front of us, and Councillor Cameron, I believe you have a motion.
Yes, I do, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much, and it's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dillabaugh. That municipal council award the county road number 2 engineering to Jewel Engineering for a total of $60,743.30 plus non-rebatable HST, and commit to awarding the contract administration to Jewel Engineering for a total of $127,000, sorry about that, 715 and no cents upon awarded construction project contract.
Okay, and you can see what we're doing here at this point. We're only awarding the engineering costs.
Correct.
Now, discussion if any. So Counselor, your motion.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to staff, I'm just curious as to why we're picking Jewel. They're not the lowest in total. Have we, to be quite truthful, I can't recall if Jewel has ever come up before council before. So they're somewhat unknown to me, where Greer Galloway, who is the second, is known to us, myself. One of my questions is why did we choose Jewel? What is the difference between Jewel and Greer Galloway, I guess, to warrant the extra spending?
So, thank you, Mr. Mayor. With respect to the engineering portion, if we look at page 69 of 170, Jewel, the engineering costs are substantially lower. The contract administration portion is higher, but only if you look at that they're looking at site supervision for 1,400 hours, which is 26 weeks, versus Greer Galloway's submission was for site supervision for only 15 weeks. And we estimate that the project will at least be 26 weeks, if not more. So if you were to extrapolate that out, Jewel is the least expensive in the overall.
Well, is it on a per diem basis?
Well, yeah, they've estimated 1,400 hours in their. I want to say that their hourly costs are, I believe, $95 an hour. But what we had done we sort of extrapolated it to be similar on site supervision, so that it was an apples to apples comparison.
Gotcha. Yeah. And again, can you just repeat for me? Jewel estimated 1,400 hours, which is 14 weeks.
Was 26 weeks. I believe that's
26 weeks.
40 hours by 26.
And it was Greer Galloway at 645. It was 14 weeks.
I want to say it was 14, 15 weeks. There was about 11 or 12 weeks difference.
Okay, so Councillor, do you understand the difference?
The explanation is bang on, Mr. Mayor. Yes, thank you on that. So I do now see the light. So,
Okay, further discussion here? Further discussion on the motion before the table? No further discussion, about to call the question. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm at item number 9 on the agenda, which is the receipt of the correspondence packages and Deputy Mayor Deschamps. I think you have that motion.
Me, moved by myself, seconded by Councilor John Hunter, the municipal council receives the correspondence listings for the following dates as previously circulated: October 1st, 2021, October 7th, 2021, October 13th, 2021, and October 20th, 2021.
Thank you very much. The motion is on the table. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. All right, and now I'm going to item number 10 on the agenda, which is approval of the disbursement sheets. And I have Councilor Dillabaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councilor Hunter. That the municipality council approves the payment of municipality invoices circulated dated as follows. One, reported dated September 28th, 2021 -113. $1,699,748.05. Number two, reported date September 29th, 2021 -114. $164,009.04. Number three, reported date October 14th, 2021 -117. $84,114.65. Number four, reported date October 19th, 2021 -118. $195,710.43. Number five, reported date October 21st, 2021 -119. $591,261.61. A total $2,734,843.78.
Motion is on the floor. Discussion, if any.
Just a couple of questions.
Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, or through the chair, to staff, on page 79, the very first entry, Ketchum Manufacturing, for new banners for poles, could someone just tell me where these banners are?
Through the chair, those banners are at the locations, at the cenotaph and out front in the municipal office. Those are for the Remembrance Day banners.
So that they're installed now, though?
They are installed now.
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilor Hunter.
I have one question for the operations manager on page 170, service equipment. Or truck 5, again, $7,000 repair. That truck 5 seems to be coming up quite often for repair. There's this much of a $7,000 repair on it.
It's one of the more aged ones in the fleet that's left over, probably looking towards 2023 for replacement on that one.
What was the problem with it?
It was through a safety, and I think it might have been, I can't tell for sure, I'd have to check into it. But it was the MTO safety it went through.
Must have been a lot of things wrong.
I suspect brakes, but I'd have to check to be sure.
Can you provide, it looks to me like there was just one invoice, CS 49,296.
What page are we on, Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're on page 77,
77.
and we're at service equipment. So can, can you provide council with a copy of the invoice, please? Is that satisfactory, Councillor?
Yeah, I just see that truck 5 seems to be, a lot of repair bills seem to be coming in and out it all the time.
So if you would,
We will, through the chair, we will distribute that invoice to council.
that's satisfactory, Councillor?
Yeah. Just towards the end of budget time, I expect we'll likely have a wrap up of total service costs for these different vehicles.
So through the chair, we will have that.
Okay, further questions with regard to the disbursement sheets? Otherwise, I'm going to call a question on the motion in front of me. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. And so now I'm at number 11, which is bylaws. And the first is 11A, a noise bylaw. And Councillor Cameron, I believe you have that one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do. Thank you. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to prohibit and regulate noise within the township of Edwardsburg Cardinal, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, noise bylaw discussed at the committee level. Further discussion, if any.
Just a question.
Go ahead.
Not present for the discussion. Read everything that was there, watched the discussion, but the operation of construction equipment in connection with construction in a settlement area, you're not allowed to do that. So the builder's building in one of these two subdivisions we were talking about today, they can't build between 7 AM and 11 AM on a Sunday. They can't operate any equipment. They can't through the chair to the CAO. Is that, am I correct in understanding that?
So through the chair, I'll have the clerk respond to that.
Through the chair, actually, good catch, that's a typo. It should be 7 PM to 11 AM. That's just my mistake there. Thank you.
And is there any provision in the bylaw for relief from that clause for construction activity?
So there is within the bylaw, there is a schedule that they could look for an exemption.
Thank you. That clears up my concern.
Okay, any further discussions with regard to this bylaw? Vote to call the question on the bylaw. Those in favor?
Aye.
I see unanimous approval. That bylaw can proceed to third reading, Councillor.
I do not have that, Mr. Mayor.
Okay,
Through the chair, during our review of the agenda process on Friday, you requested only be first and second reading to provide additional time for review.
From the public.
that's, I recall that now. Thank you for the reminder. So the third reading will come at the next meeting.
Next month?
Yeah, it'll be next month. And I think the idea was we wanted to sort of circulate and make known to the public that this bylaw was coming forward. Okay, and I'm moving now then to 11B, which is a development agreement with a development agreement on South Street. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that one.
Move myself, second by Deputy Mayor Deschamps, mover to grant leave to introduce a bylaw to authorize execution of a development agreement with 1504107 Ontario Incorporated, and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
And that's South Street. Okay, so any discussion on this issue? First and second readings, go ahead.
It's not really much of a discussion, but in the second whereas, in the third line down, deficient rear yard should probably be deficient rear yard.
Yes, it probably should.
And I think that's all that I have.
Okay, so I'm making a note on my copy, which is not much good because my copy just gets buried. So the staff will have to make that correction on their copies. Any further discussion?
I have one, Mr. Mayor. October 21st was our deadline for any complaints on this property. Was there any brought forward? Is that right? I saw October 21st was the deadline on in here.
Sorry, on which part?
In here, I thought it said here, and I could be misreading somewhere else, at October 21st, it was the deadline for any complaints coming forward. Now, that could be my mistake, because I kind of caught everyone off guard. Yes or no?
I'm not sure what the reference is to.
I don't even know what page, Mr. Mayor, I was going through this, and it was with all the specs on the well and so on, what he was doing. And I thought it said somewhere here. The council, and I could be wrong, so I'm not gonna hold anything up on it, but I thought there was something here on October 21st.
Oh, sorry, on page 111. the last day for appealing the decision at the county level was October 21st, 2021.
Okay, so I wasn't. So, and there was nothing then, right?
It was granted, into the best of my knowledge, there was no appeal.
Thank you so much. Sorry about that.
All right, now, so I haven't called the question on first and second reading of this bylaw yet. I'm about to do that now. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so that bylaw receives unanimous approval, and Councillor Hunter, you can proceed to third read.
Myself, second by Deputy Mayor, this is another bylaw to authorize the execution of the development agreement with 1504107 Ontario Incorporated. We now read a third time, finally passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2021-64.
Okay, now, third reading, those in favor?
All right.
Motion is carried. Okay, just gonna get some of this stuff out of the way. And I think that's pretty much everything. And so now I'm at item 11C, which is repeal bylaw 2021-42. Councillor Hunter, I believe you have that.
Move myself, second by Councillor Dilaba, that the mover be granted leave to introduce a bylaw to repeal bylaw 2021-42, being a bylaw to dissolve the word system of an electrical representative and institute at-large system of electoral representation in the township registered cardinal and this shall constitute first and second reading thereof.
Okay, and so I'm not gonna say anything about this. Council has taken advantage of the advice from legal counsel. Discussion, if any. Hearing none, I'm about to call the question. Those in favor?
Aye.
Bylaw receives unanimous approval. It can proceed to third reading.
And myself, second by Councillor Dilaba, that a bylaw to repeal bylaw 2021-42, being a bylaw to dissolve the word system of electoral representation and institute an at-large system of electoral representation in the township registered cardinal. We now read a third time, and finally passed, signed, sealed, number 2021-65.
Excuse me. Thank you very much. Sorry. All right. Now this is third reading. Those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you. Okay, now where am I? I'm at item number 12, which is the CAO's administrative update, and I'm gonna get Councillor Dilaba to put the motion on the floor. Then I'm gonna get the CAO to review his report, and then we'll have a discussion with regard to his report, and then I'll deal with the motion. So in that sequence, Councillor Dilaba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Cameron. Municipality Council received the CEO's administration report as presented.
Thank you very much. Mr. CAO, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just going to highlight a couple areas. Just that United Counties of Leeds and Grenville active transportation plan, but they're holding a virtual public open house on Thursday, October 28th between 7 p.m. and 8:30. And it will include a presentation by the consultants and a question and answer session.
Now, before you go on, do we have someone attending that? I had asked Councillor Cameron to kind of keep an eye on that one, but I've kind of lost track of where we are.
And I will be more than happy to join that. However, I'm glad you asked that question. It's sort of slipped my mind a little bit. Do I have to pre-register to this for this?
Through the chair, it would require pre-registering. If I'm not mistaken, we can send that invite to you.
I'd like to know that myself.
That would be fine. So that's two of us. That's good.
I'd like to be on that too.
Good.
And the reason, by the way, that I asked Councillor Cameron was because of his experience as a cyclist. But now, do we have staff members joining as well? And Mr. CEO, Mr. Grant?
I am not 100% sure yet.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead, please.
That's all right. So just Grenville Community Futures Development Corporation, hopefully I've got that acronym correct. Just announced that Katie Olin has been hired as the new executive director and will be succeeding Heather Lawless upon her retirement in December. And I believe Ms. Lawless has 30+ years with that corporation. So
I'm wondering, I hate to interrupt you, but I don't want to miss this one. Katie Nolan, for a long time, I'm trying to place it. Ministry of Agriculture and Food, right? That's where she is right now.
Worked on the FICE reports.
Yes, that's right.
She did, that's where I worked with her, was on the FICE. the FICE
It's quite,
reports, so.
that is quite possible. I am not 100% sure on that.
And the last thing I want to get out is that sometime between now and her retirement, I'd like to have Heather Lawless come in and present her with some sort of a recognition on her retirement from council. I don't think it should come from the mayor. I think it should come from council, because she certainly has been a great assistance to us in a number of projects, providing financing for a number of projects. So I just leave that with staff. And my apologies again, Mr. Grant. Go ahead, please.
Agriculture, we're looking at it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The upcoming meetings, just everybody's favorite time of the year, Thursday, November 18th, will be budget meeting number 1, starting at 6 p.m. Treasury, just wanted to indicate that the auditors will be in to conduct the interim audit on December 13th and 14th. And there's been 60 letters sent out with respect to tax arrears as per the collection policy. Under Parks, Rec, and Facilities, grass cutting. Hopefully this will, over the next week or so, will be the final cuts of this season. The grass seems to be growing. And we'll have items prepped at both cenotaphs in advance of Remembrance Day ceremonies. And also the all docks are planned and scheduled to be removed for the season later this week. Operations, Public Works. Just highlight the sidewalks. Safe Sidewalks Canada is undertaking repairs in Spencerville and Cardinal, focusing on the high priority defects first. If you've been in the village, you'll probably see a couple spots on Shanley Road, if I'm not mistaken, where they've already started. And Cocoa Paving has completed most of the hot mix patching work. Also, just want to note with respect to November with the brush and leaf collection, scheduled November 9th in Cardinal, and November 10th in Spencerville, Johnstown, and New Wexford. And that for the entire month of November, there will be free drop off of leaves and a brush at the Scott Road transfer site.
Now, is that any day of the week?
That would just be on Saturdays.
Saturdays only.
Saturdays only. Drainage, just to update you on the Cornwall Road storm drain. The cured in place liner has been completed earlier this month, if I'm not mistaken. Environmental services. Just note with the Cardinal Water Treatment Plant that the Ministry of Environment, Conservation and Parks was in to conduct physical inspection at the Cardinal Water Treatment Plant. And also the same for the Industrial Park water system. I guess of note that Environmental Services has been working with Falcon Security to upgrade communications at the at the pumping stations throughout Spencerville and Carden. Fire department, under fleet, pump one repairs were completed at Rush Truck Center in Kempville. We will determine the success of the repairs at the next oil sample. The follow-up repairs on the vehicles with respect to the pump tests, they were scheduled for October 13th, but canceled due to the fire in Spencer. I think under fire prevention, both schools were visited during fire prevention week with positive feedback received, and the age-appropriate material was distributed to the students. Under other, just indicating that the EMS boot camp took place on October 7th, and we had 10 paramedic services, 3 colleges, and representatives from OPP and fire department participating. I think once again, it was a well-received event. That concludes the update. Any questions? I will do my best to answer.
Well, again, Mr. Grant, a very busy month and a good report. Questions for Mr. Grant?
Here, no, none for me.
Thank you, David.
Job.
Busy week, busy month.
Busy.
Okay, so no questions. I'm gonna proceed to the motion. Those in favor of the motion? Motion is carried. The report has been received as presented. And now I'm going to item number 13, which is council inquiries or notices of motion. Does anybody have anything to bring forward at this point? Hearing nothing, hearing none, I'm about to move on to the mayor's report on item number 14. There will be a motion coming forward. I'll ask for the motion to just come forward at the end of the report. So not much to report, but a couple of things. So first of all, I did mention earlier at an earlier meeting that the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville Aggregate Resources Master Plan draft has been circulated. It is available for comment. I think the comment date is close off on, I think it's October the 22nd. This is already the 25th, so we're past the date, but it's never too late until it's way too late. But I just want to advise council that that draft master plan will come to the County Planning Advisory Committee on December the 14th at 9 o'clock. And there will be 2 statutory meetings held by the Planning Advisory Committee on December the 14th. One will be at 9 and the other one will follow right after. And then following those 2 statutory meetings, there will be a special meeting of the United Counties to receive the minutes of those 2 statutory meetings. And at that point, the aggregate resources master plan will probably be received by county council. Now, the one other thing that I just wanted to report, I think many of you have seen the announcement from I guess we'll call him now Detachment Commander Inspector Kingsley, who announced on Friday afternoon that he had been the successful applicant in the competition for the Grenville Detachment Commander position. So congratulations all the way around, and I sent congratulations on behalf of council and told them that we're looking forward to working with them. Not that we have that close of contact because we really don't have a committee, but we do have a working relationship. So that basically concludes my report, because I'll be saying a lot more in the closed session immediately following here. So no need to prolong things. So Deputy Mayor Deschamps, your motion, please.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, the municipal council receives the mayor's report as presented.
Very good. Questions, if any? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion is carried. And so now, item number 15 is the question period, and so to the clerk, nobody on Zoom, nobody in the chambers, no question period.
Which is very, I might, at this point, just put a question to council from South Nation. We've been asked all the representatives if the councils would like a budget presentation from South Nation. We started it on Thursday, the budget process, and right now the proposed budget looks like Edwardsburg Cardinal will be getting a $1,353 increase in our levy this year, but they're willing to come forward and do a budget presentation to us. Put in either November or December. The budget hopes to be finalized in our January meeting. So if you'd like Angela or Diane to come and make a presentation of their budget and how the money's being spent, what your levy doing, the CEO could arrange what them, whatever meeting, committee meeting or council meeting that you'd like them to come and present. They did one to South Dundas a week ago. I think they did one at South Dundas. They're willing to come. I think we get good value from them, but if the council would like to know exactly, because the total levy is $4,594,027, and Edwardsburg is going to contribute we'll contribute $4,630.
4,000?
Yeah.
630?
Yeah, North Grenville contributes, because the three of us are in the one, we get two representatives from Augusta, Edwardsburg, and North Grenville. We're the largest contributor. North Grenville's next at 4307, and Augusta is 3218.
32?
40,000, isn't it?
No.
No?
It's a general levy.
The thing which bothers me most about that is that we have
Well,
of the three.
Forest land, I'm sorry, that was forest land acquisition levy I was gonna do. The general levy for Edwardsburg Cardinal was 52,371. North Grenville was 48,716.
That's better.
Augusta is 36,401.
36?
Yeah,
We're 52 what?
Yeah.
52 what?
52,371.
71?
But, okay.
I might just say, if you've been following at all what's happening with the minister that's responsible for the conservation authorities, I mean, there was a great foo-for-ah throughout the province that so many municipalities were having trouble with their conservation authorities. We were not one. And we gave great support to the South Nation Conservation during that whole period of time. But now the minister has released his final changes to the Conservation Act. And one of the things that they're really looking for is to get these conservation authorities reporting back to the councils. And so I would just like to say to council, you know, that if we can make the time, I think we really should invite them to come and make a budget presentation, because they've been good working relationship and we should keep those relationships going.
yeah. Well, I think they're more than willing to come and explain. The biggest trouble they've had with some of the councils that has complained about their levy is they see the children's fishing day that takes place in one thing and another, and some councillors crying, why are we taxing our people to do a children's fishing day? But that doesn't come out of the levies, that comes out of special grants, and a lot of these extra programs are all special grants that they apply for and get. same as the forest acquisition, most of the money that comes from that, this year we've spent, I think, close to $800,000 buying property, but, or 1.6 million buying property, 800,000 of that come from the money that the ministry, the rest is come from the government that pays 50% of it, and then they apply and they get other grants from other things. So the actual levy, very little of it is actually used to purchase property and stuff. It's all through, and South Nation has had a great success in through Forestry Ontario and OPG and stuff. Like Power Generation Corporation has given huge grants to Conservation Authority and entered into agreements with them to manage property for them if they make money. Plus, as you know, and I know, they did a great job for us in different projects that we've had for the port, and we paid a huge amount of money to do all the studies and stuff for there, and there's still a lot less than what we would have had to pay.
Well, and there's the other side of the coin, of course, is that we're hoping that if we do end up making a deal with Infrastructure Ontario, that they will purchase some of the wetlands. Okay, so can we get a consensus from the council to?
Could I just ask a question, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Regarding these numbers for South Nation, here tonight, we just passed in the disbursements, the third payment levy for 2001, which was $18,500. So I'm just wondering, is it the same amount to the treasurer? Is it the same amount each payment, or are they different? Are they different payments?
Through the chair, there's the same amount, and there's 3 payments made to Southern Nations throughout the year. And that's the final payment.
Oh, okay, so it's 18, 18, and 18,
Yeah.
and that would give us our levy. Thank you.
Correct.
That's all I have.
Okay, so can we get a consensus around the table that we're gonna have them come to a meeting?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so I'll leave it up to the CIO and the clerk to arrange that with Councillor Hunter.
Cool.
All right, any other, where am I here? That was item number 15. So now I'm at item number 16, which is the motion to go into another closed session. Councillor Dillabaugh, I think you have that motion. So,
I don't.
No,
Sorry.
do you have it, Councillor Hunter?
Myself and the deputy this out, but the municipal council proceeded in closed session 8:12 in order to address a matter pertaining to sections 239 2C proposed to pending acquisition and disposal of land by the municipality and local boards, specifically Edgeworth Land Bank Job Site Challenge in the minutes of closed session dated September 20th, 2021 and September 27th, 2021.
Those in favor of the motion?
Yes.
Motion is carried.
My deputy mayor, this out, a closed meeting of the municipal council does now adjourn, and open meeting does now resume at 8:51 p.m.
Those in favor?
Yes.
Motion is carried. And so now I'm going to report out from the closed session. The mayor and the CAO took the opportunity of the closed session to brief council members on the latest discussions with Infrastructure Ontario and the provincial land and development facilitator. And that's the report out from the closed session. Looking for the confirmatory bylaw from the closed session.
I believe I have that.
Minutes. Yeah, minutes.
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 Closed session minutes.
You got them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, can you bring them forward, please?
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Council Hunter that Mr. Council receives and approves the closed session minutes dated September 20th, 2021 and September 27th, 2021.
Thank you very much. Motion is on the floor. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, now the confirmatory bylaw.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor John Hunter, that a bylaw to adopt, confirm, and ratify matters dealt with by resolution be now passed, signed, sealed, and numbered 2021-66.
Those in favor? Motion is carried. And the motion to adjourn the special council, the regular meeting?
Yes.
Yes, we're adjourning the regular meeting, sorry.
That is correct. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Hunter, that municipal council does now adjourn at 8:54 PM.
Thank you very much. Those in favor? Motion is carried. Thank you.
We are adjourned.